This is the emergency podcast system. This is not a test. Movies are bombing all over the country. They are posing as movies you already know. They may already be in your theaters, your neighbor's home, or even your own. Do not panic. Specialists have been dispatched. They will help you identify these pretenders and defend you against this invasion of the remake. Please stand by for further instructions.
Welcome to the Invasion of the Remake podcast. Today is our second movie for December, and of course we have to do some weird Christmas movie thing. And last year we did Santa Claus, 1959 Mexican chaos movie. Like, it is insane.
It is great.
And I was looking for something similar. This year I came up with the big budget Santa Claus the movie, which probably made Sam roll his eyes because he just doesn't like Christmas. He's a Scrooge. He doesn't like Christmas at all.
That's not true.
No.
I kind of like Christmas.
Kinda.
I like Christmas Day. Everything leading up to it is what I don't like. Right? It's all the extra trappings and Christmas carols and over-retailing. It's just, it's annoying.
I think
but Christmas itself is nice.
Well, if we're going to get into over-retailing, this movie does have a little bit of that.
Oh
Hello,
my gosh.
Trish.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Jason. Hey, Sam.
Hello?
Yes, Alexander and Ilya Salkind were trying to right the ship that went wrong after Superman 3 and Supergirl by hiring the director of Supergirl.
I was hoping you'd mention that. When I read that, I rolled my eyes. I'm like, she directed a disaster for you, and then you went, hey, let's do it again.
Yeah, isn't it she? I don't know even
I
sure.
think there was a hopefulness.
Genoa Schwartz?
Yeah, well, maybe they thought, they're like, okay, so that seemed kind of cartoonish. Maybe a Santa movie's where her wheelhouse is. Like, if you think about it logically, that kind of sort of makes sense in a way.
Kind of, sort of, but I think that they
sorta.
hired her because she'd do exactly what they wanted her to do. Because if you read sort of the wiki on this, they were really adamant about not changing the script for the other directors they were looking at. And I think with her, she was like, okay, this is the script, then we'll always work with the script.
Well, I mean, the front runner for this was John Carpenter, who wanted to, it's John Carpenter. He wanted to write, direct, and score it.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted full-ass control of it. And I would have loved to see what that looked like.
Oh, yeah.
A Carpenter's score for a Christmas movie? How amazing would
Just a
that
Carpenter
be?
written and directed Christmas movie.
The whole concept I find really fascinating.
Yeah.
But I think part of the problem is that Dudley Moore already had script approval.
Yeah.
So you can't give two people script approval and expect them to meet up in the middle, right?
Well, you can, but you put them in a cage and they fight it out, and whoever survives, that is the person who has final script approval. You can do it.
I don't know who in
It's
their
just
right
violent.
mind would give Dudley Moore script approval.
Yeah, do we want to talk about Dudley Moore and really, I mean, what he does? I mean, has he ever done a really good movie? I mean, not counting Arthur.
Oh, okay. I was going to go Arthur, and that's all I've got. Well, what was the one 10 with Bo Derek? That one was considered very good, but it's trashy.
You know what?
But it's entertaining.
Dudley Moore generally plays the same guy in every movie. The slightly drunk,
Sleazy guy.
Oh yeah, there's a few times in this movie I thought he was like drunk for real. Like
I
his
thought so
lines
too
seemed kind
sometimes.
of slurred, and I'm like, he's so hammered right now.
Oh, then the first scenes where he shows up, and I'm like, oh no, I hope we're not going to get elf puns the whole way through this thing. And it already feels really long at an hour and a half. So
it's an hour 50.
Hour 50.
Yeah.
I guess it is pretty long.
It is.
But, when he's talking about elf conscience and oh, God.
Elf-esteem.
Elf-esteem and, oh
Yeah,
my.
they were really weak puns, too.
They were.
Yeah. This movie has a huge identity crisis.
Oh yeah,
Yes, it does.
Huge. I mean, there's 3 different movies happening in here.
it's a ton of different movies.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
at least 3.
and
All the leads are in different movies.
in rethinking for the remake version, our remake version, I totally want to at least drop off one of them.
Yes.
Oh, I'm definitely I've killed a significant portion of it.
Yeah, there are definitely 3 different movies in here with all kind of giving you the same message, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they were doing, but this was their last fantasy movie under the Salkind's tent.
Not surprisingly.
Yeah. Not surprisingly.
Yeah.
Huge commercial failure.
Yes, and I don't, I meant
See how
to...
I did that? I've kind of fed it to you.
Yeah, thank you. Santa Claus the movie, 1985. As I said, It is a Salkind's production. The story and screenplay were done by Leslie and David Newman, who did the scripts for Superman 1 through 4. It's a Bird, It's a Play. It's a Bird, It's a Play in the stage play that they did for ABC as a special.
Okay.
The Michael Jackson Moonwalker. And 1967 Bonnie and Clyde.
Ooh.
They went from like fantastic to okay to
Even a stopped clock is right twice a day.
They were flying in the sleigh and then just crashed it into a jetliner, like right through there, and nothing but like reindeer guts came through that engine, bringing it down and killing another 100 people. That's what their career seems like to me.
Well, I was about to say cover your ears, kids, but it's too late. That image is now in your head. The sugar plums are no longer dancing.
I don't know how many young children should be listening to this podcast.
They're running in fear. That's true. This isn't the most child-friendly podcast. The way we talk. Budgeted at an enormous $50 million for 1985. That is quite something. Its box office take was $23.7 million.
Yep.
that would
Ouch.
be pretty much a flop.
With a massive, I mean, you got to think to make its budget back, it had to just make $100 million because it had a massive ad campaign behind it.
Yeah.
You know, in looking for clips for this show, I found McDonald's ads, which I think I might run one at the end of this
And
show.
McDonald's
more than
and
one.
Coke featured heavily in this movie.
And Pabst Blue
And
Ribbon.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Sam. And Pabst Blue Ribbon, absolutely. And I found all sorts of tie-ins. I found a Kodak disc camera tie-in commercial. Sadly, didn't lend itself very well to audio, so you can guys look that up on YouTube. But there was a huge ad campaign around this
I
movie.
used to have a Kodak disc camera. Man, I want to watch that now.
There you go. And once we're done, I'll play it for Trish.
Yay.
Starring Dudley Moore, who got top billing in this, John Lithgow, who got second billing, and David Huddleston, who plays Superman. Or not Superman, Santa Claus. I'm already stuck on Superman with the whole Salkind thing because it does kind of feel like a Superman script. David
Superman
Huddleston
special
as Santa Claus, and he gets third billing despite being the title character.
Which I find outrageous because when I was watching this movie, I was like, oh, I'm kind of in it because I liked him and I liked his wife.
He was a great Santa Claus.
He was absolutely a great
They
Santa
were
Claus.
wonderful.
And Junie Cornwall as Anya Claus, his wife, was wonderful. And the 20 seconds that Burgess Meredith showed up, he got fourth
So
billing
Yes.
for this movie, despite the fact he was only there for probably an hour or two and
Yeah.
probably 10 hours under the makeup chair.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, he was pretty old and frail by 1985, but...
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't really look it too much in this movie.
No, he doesn't. And it's probably largely due to the makeup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and probably they didn't show him like moving too much. Like I think they probably put him on something and rolled him towards the
I
camera.
get the feeling that that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, because he passed between Rocky 3 and Rocky 4, right?
I don't recall.
So which one was
But
there's one.
Yeah, I do believe so.
They allude to his death. Maybe it's 4.
I think it's Rocky 4 where he's passed because, sorry, getting off topic, but that would have been 85, 86, so this couldn't have been much before when he passed.
Yeah.
Because I remember Rocky 4 came out while I was in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, so, he has one scene, but it kind of sets it all up. Who is working for who?
I don't know, and I wondered what was happening prior to this.
Yeah.
Like, were they just
Like
doing
the
this
elves were just
forever?
building toys and stockpiling them, too nervous to give them away to children, despite really liking children in a creepy Michael Jackson kind of way.
See, I don't know if it's a creepy Michael Jackson kind of way. It's more of a like, yeah, well, we can't get anywhere. We'll
They're
stay where
snowed
we
in.
are.
Did Santa Claus, is it just me, or did Santa Claus die at the beginning of this? And he's got to go through his first death before he becomes immortal, so this is actually a spin-off from the Highlander franchise.
Yeah, like Santa Claus and the reindeer and his wife all have to die to get there.
For the,
and then
the
they
rebirth as mythical entities.
reawaken in the North Pole.
I think I thought there was a
Yeah,
death.
I literally thought the rest of the movie after his death was just some limbo fever dream where he's cursed to deliver toys to children for the rest of his afterlife.
Well, this
It did kind of feel that way, yeah.
Right?
In retrospect, yeah.
it's like that Santa sleigh movie. Like he's somehow done something terrible and now he's been purposely forced to deliver presents to children for like millennia.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Santa in this movie, I mean, he was already that type of person, right? He was on his way to deliver gifts to children in the village.
Yes. There was this Christmas party within the village with all the children gathered. They already refer to him as Uncle Claus. And, the legend in the town anyway is, despite bad storms and he'll come through anyway.
Yeah, and they know about the elves, but they don't call them elves. They call them
they called them the Vendigum.
the Vendigum.
Or Vendicum, or
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, there was already a story about them. There was always a myth about them.
Yeah,
already.
which I assumed was offensive because the elves wanted to be referred to as elves.
Yeah.
When they introduce themselves to Santa Claus, they go, "Yeah, we prefer to be called elves."
Yeah, I know. I couldn't quite get why even introduce that idea.
Yeah,
then?
why write that in at all then?
One of the many flaws in this script.
Yeah, and then they said we dubbed the Santa Claus, but the kids were already calling him Uncle Claus and Santa Claus anyway. So you named him, you kidnapped him to do your bidding, to deliver all these toys to children.
But then they make him the boss.
Yes.
Yeah, the savior of the Vendigum. I don't know.
Yeah,
he was foretold. That was the impression I got, was that it was foretold that he would come.
So he's Vendigum Jesus.
Yes,
Yeah.
the ancient elf had foretold this. The Burgess Meredith had called him the Chosen One.
How many movies have a chosen one in them?
I know, right?
And the thing is, this is a part of the movie I actually enjoyed the most. Was the sort of origin of Santa, even though it's has no basis in what we know as the origin of Santa.
No, and this is where I'd want to spend most of my time in a remake of this. I'm more interested in the origin story of Santa Claus and what makes him Santa Claus, and the fact that he had a lot of these qualities already, and I don't want a lot of these things like you are now dubbed Santa Claus and that sort of thing. I want there are qualities that should be built into him as through his own experiences.
And I want to see the idea too, because here's the thing: they've already established he loves the children, and he makes the time to make these toys for the children, and the other adults are like, why does he do this? And she's like, he likes to make the toys for the children. He loves children, but not in that Michael Jackson way. He genuinely loves children. But imagine when
he likes the woodwork and the just building of things as well, and people to appreciate them, and that the children really appreciate them.
To make up for the fact
and those toys get loved.
They couldn't have children of their own, so it was like a proxy for them, right?
Yeah.
But then there's the other part of it too, where imagine Santa Claus. You enjoy children, you want to see them enjoying their gifts, and your next life, the next amount of millennia you're going to spend is never going to be around children. Your whole idea is to be there when they're asleep and never see them ever again. How sad is that?
Really sad. Let's watch the trailer.
The prophecy has come to pass that there would come to us a chosen one, and that he himself would be an artist and a skilled maker of toys. From this day on, now and forever, you will bring our gifts to all the children in all the world. This is your legacy and your gift, as is the gift of fright.
It's them!
Every year, the magic happens again.
Merry Christmas!
It certainly should be.
Until now.
What are you? I'm an elf. An elf? Yes. You mean like a fairy?
I mean, I'm talking modern methods of production here. I'm talking assembly line. I'm talking way for the future.
Now someone wants to take the magic out of Christmas.
We say bigger, better. It's going to cost you.
Cost who?
The people who buy the toy.
Well, nothing. We're going to give them away free.
For free?
Well, that's how we do it at the North Pole.
Well, that's not how we do it here. Santa Claus is finished.
I just wanted him to see what a good assistant I could be.
Only one man can stop him. Only one man can help us. And he's coming to take you for a sleigh ride in the stars. Alexander Salkind presents Dudley Moore and John Lithgow. The legend comes to life for the very first time. With all the magic, all the adventure, all the wonder. Santa Claus, the movie. Seeing is believing. An Alexander and Ilya Salkind production.
All right, Santa Claus. Now that we've cheered you back up from Trisha's sad revelation.
Sorry. But this is Santa's hell. It just is.
Or it's something he already likes to do, so he's won over fairly quickly by their pitch.
Yeah, but it's more of a limbo than a hell, I think.
Yeah.
But
you're taking out a key aspect of what he loved about being alive.
Yeah, well, when you get the elves take them, and they're now, in the North Pole and explaining to them, well, this isn't our home. Yeah, it is now. I really feel like the elves are like, well, what if they say no? What movie are we in now?
Yeah.
Well, then, you will have to go. You've seen too much.
Exactly. Or, part of the movie has to be them settling in. This is a big deal. Their whole lives have been upended.
Yeah.
Or afterlives, depending on how you do it.
Yeah, meanwhile, everybody in their village thinks they're dead.
I know, right?
Yeah, it is.
And lost in the storm.
Yeah, and they were lost in the storm. I mean, ultimately, that's what happened. Of course, there's no remains for them to find because they've all been...
We assume.
Or there might be.
There might be. Could be something that we add into our remake.
Maybe their bodies were buried.
Now we're turning this into a Krampus-style horror. I'm okay with that.
No. I think we just don't know if it's like Krampus-style horror. We're just embracing the tragedy of what this story is.
The darkness, the underlying darkness of this story.
Yeah, why hasn't Santa versus Krampus happened yet, by the way?
Wasn't there that Christmas horror story that they put out last year where Santa Claus is a good guy who fights demons? Jeff was talking about it.
I think Jeff was talking about it.
Yeah, I don't recall. I'll have to talk to Jeff about it again.
But yeah, I think there is one that's kind of like that already.
All right, that sounds awesome anyway.
Yes. But, the North Pole looked great.
Yes. In fact, the movie itself looks great. Same cinematographer from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, actually.
Yes, it's so beautiful. It's bright, it's colorful, it's like a living cartoon.
It's what you'd expect from the North Pole. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of the critics did not like the look of the film. Actually, the 3 or 4 sort of critic responses that I read to the film that I read, all of them felt that the sets were overdone and poorly constructed. I'm like, I don't know what you're seeing. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially 1985.
Yeah, they were... I saw one comment saying they had the biggest surplus in cheap plywood. I'm like, I didn't see it. I thought the sets looked rather nice. I mean, there's a lot of wood in the way it is, but it's meant to look older. This movie starts in the 15th century.
Yeah.
So,
and those elves have been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have been. So it felt right.
Yeah.
It's what I expected.
What were those critics expecting? Like some sort of industrial factory-looking thing? That's not Christmassy at all.
No, especially not in the 15th century.
No.
Let's talk about that for just a second. This is one of the things that bugged me about the movie is, and I mean, it's part of the whole Chosen One thing where they make him his costume. Right? Mm-hmm. If we're remaking this, I would like to see a transition of his costumes throughout the ages, because that costume that we see is not the one, did not exist then, right?
Yeah.
It was...
Hey, even if you're immortal and, living forever, and let's assume he's only putting on that costume once a year, still a lot of years.
It's still a lot of years. And, I mean, realistically, nobody's supposed to see him. He could be doing it fucking naked for all anybody knows. Mm-hmm. Right?
The children catch him once in a while.
But you know what I'm saying, though, is there's an expectation.
We're getting into a weird part where he loves children. Don't want to do that.
I was using an example. I don't actually mean it.
And it's cold outside, so...
Well, it's like they kind of touch on
Shrinkage.
this in Arthur Christmas, if you've seen that cartoon, where Father Christmas, he has kind of the reddish suit, but his son who's running the show now is like in camo, and just doesn't look very Santa Claus-y. He's very military looking.
Right.
So they do allude to like that in that movie, and there should be a whole thing where it starts off as robes. I mean, you look historically, Santa Claus looked different.
Yeah,
and I'd like to see that transition throughout the movie as well.
Yeah, I agree. There should be wardrobe changes, but they don't spend a lot of time. We see the calendar change. It pops up 15th century, 16th century, 17th. So they're showing us a passage of time. time by just basically flashing cards that tell us there's a
Yeah.
passage
Yeah,
of time.
but you could do that differently by flashing images of him delivering.
Yeah,
presents
and that
during
would
time,
certainly
right?
give us a much better sense of the changing of the years. Yeah.
and the growth of Santa.
Yeah.
and how he changed.
And I would reflect that in the changes in the factory and the house itself.
Oh, for sure.
And the sleigh.
Yeah, and the sleigh.
Yeah, absolutely. And last frickin' montages. Holy shit.
Oh, God, yeah.
That first hour was like 4 really long montages. And I'm like, where's the story?
Yeah, it takes forever for the story to actually develop. Like, I really liked the idea of an origin story, but we really only get to see the end of the origin. Like, now he's Santa Claus.
Yeah.
He just accepts it and on he moves. And then there's Patch, we see hints of him wanting to modernize the process more. But, that's really all we get in the beginning of this film.
And then he's not in it for 30 minutes.
Yeah, what happened there?
Yeah, and again, this is where you start to see this identity crisis for this movie. It's like, okay, well, you've got Patch's story, you've got Santa's story, and then you've got the arbitrary villain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh.
Who was so much fun to watch. But
I love John Lithgow.
I normally love John Lithgow. I did not like him in this movie. Although you can tell he's having fun because he had this weird 40s gangster look in his costuming, even though he's like a toy manufacturer. He's a really nasty toy manufacturer.
And the way he just looks and snarls.
Oh, yeah, no, he played smarmy and sleazy so well.
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought he was supposed to be Scarface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell that he knew that this was a bad movie, and he's just hamming it up. He's just chewing up the scenery because he can.
He was definitely shooting for the stars on this one.
Yeah, because he knew that he wasn't winning any awards with it.
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, he seemed very self-aware and just went for it.
Yeah.
Which I admire.
And I enjoyed it because I knew that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, he's a toy manufacturer already being investigated for making dangerous toys, which they just basically say, stop doing it or we'll shut you down or you won't be able to distribute in the United States. No, that's not the way it works. Like, you get caught with dangerous toys. Like, they show one that's extremely flammable, and then a teddy bear stuffed with glass and nails.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait,
Why
what?
would you put nails in a teddy bear?
Yeah.
Like, and even if you're
or
low,
glass.
nails cost more than the stuffing. So he's really losing money on this dangerous teddy bear.
Yeah, and it had to weigh like 5 pounds.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Oh,
Made
yeah.
a very interesting rattling noise, I'm sure.
I think it was what they thought, the Salkinds thought was a really good joke. And it wasn't.
It was just, what the hell?
Even the most reprehensible toy maker is not going to waste money like that.
No.
Right?
No.
No, it's like we broke a window in the factory. Yeah, throw it in a bear.
Yeah, like what happened? I don't get that. Like some stuff that's flammable or something made of like a dangerous material, I can get behind that a bit.
Yeah, and it still happens today.
Exactly.
Yeah. And those items get recalled.
Lead paint on a toy.
Yeah.
It's simple. You can do it. It fits into the narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they were trying to give us a visual device, which was completely unnecessary. I
And
think the burning doll was more than enough.
Well, I think because this is a movie intended for children, I would argue to say that it is a children's movie.
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be a children's movie, so they wanted a visual gag children would get.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just...
Falls flat.
Yeah, falls flat, definitely. But most of this movie does, so...
Yeah.
No, not to say the idea behind the movie isn't wonderful.
I like the idea of these kind of children Christmas movies. Like I quite took to the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies with the and
when you ignore the fact he killed Santa.
Yeah. In his
Another
murderous
dark
intent. But
It begins
Tim
really
Allen's
dark.
already got a record.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what?
Hey, but that was just drugs. That was fine. It wasn't. He
Hey, every criminal escalates.
didn't murder anybody.
Yeah. But it's interesting you bring up Santa Claus because you can sort of see how
Turf war.
this movie may have inspired some of these more modern ones. Like you can see some elements from this movie that were taken and used to greater effect in more recent movies.
Yeah.
I think greatly to Santa Claus. I can see a direct correlation to Santa Claus.
Yeah. I'd like to take some of these classic ideas of the idea of Santa Claus, those tropes with the elves and the castle and all that, and mix it with some of the legends, the global legends, and building them up, and to really embrace the origin part of that story. I think building them from some factual places, and it's different depending on which region of the world you're in. So you can take all the little best bits and make something really interesting, right?
Or you could have it take the origins of all these other ones, and what they are is they're just the different Santas that have been over the millennia.
Because it's not a Christian specific holiday. People think it's been linked to Christianity for so long that they think it is, but it actually was birthed as a pagan ritual.
Yeah.
So, the way the idea of Christmas changes over the years as well is kind of fascinating to me, and I'd certainly like to take some of those elements and kind of see what fits into the more cartoony aspects of the legend as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's you can tell that's kind of where they were trying to go with it.
Yeah, they abandoned it pretty quickly though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think basically the big, hugest flaw was they took it away from that origin story, and that was their story. That's what they should have done.
Yeah. Well, and I think fantasies work best when they're not modernized. So keeping it more in that 15th century was far more interesting to me, anyway, as an adult, I guess. I probably would have liked that more as a child as well.
And I think you can bring in the magic part of it, too.
Yeah.
They can do these toys because of magic.
Yeah, considering the message of this is through Patch's actions in the film, he is kind of undoing the magic of Christmas. So, and like I said, the magic of Christmas and just magic in general kind of seems to work better in a period setting, and especially in a more medieval kind of setting. And the idea of industrialization working against the idea of Christmas and commercialism, I'd like to set it a little earlier, although the 80s certainly was a huge consumer time.
Yeah, it's a great setting for it.
Yeah.
For that aspect of the message, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that you probably want to get rid of the whole interaction with Joe and Santa Claus, but I liked that.
I don't know. No, honestly, I'd get rid of everything with BZ. I hate everything about it.
I took out the children.
Then, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, Santa Claus and children, you kind of have to have those aspects in there. And I do like the plot device of Santa losing faith in his mission to bring joy to children of the world. Although I don't like how some of these legends just happen casually. Like, well, why are you giving everybody, all the kids, presents? And his wife's like, well, why are you giving presents to the bad kids? Like, okay, well, let's make a list. I'm checking it twice.
See,
that cuts down on his workload.
Yeah,
true, but I mean, I kind of like the idea of that's how that, like, the idea of that kind of got introduced. Like, I kind of want those little bits, but we're going to have most of it be about the origin.
Yeah.
So those are going to happen, but they're not going to be these throwaway tiny moments.
Well, I want those moments to matter. So when he decides not to bring presents, and he still wants, like, I want that lump of coal thing thrown in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it's an encounter with a really nasty child that he's like, well, you don't really deserve, and it causes conflict within his own character. Like, well, I'm still going to bring him something, but I'm going to send him a message, and the only thing you're going to get is the coal, and the coal was meant to keep, was a symbol, like, you can use this to
keep warm,
and whatever.
It serves a purpose, but
there's
not
a purpose
fun.
and its function, and there's nothing fun about it.
Or it could also be too, because it might not even be like the child that sort of causes it. It's also a culmination of the children cause this crisis, but also he sees the adults they grow into.
Granted, if it was
and
modernized,
he doesn't like them.
And shitty kids got lumps of coal, they would just stick it in the sock and make it a weapon.
You just get into where I wanted to go with that whole BZ character in my remake is there's a history with Santa and that BZ family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he sees them growing into these horrible adults, right? And then BZ sort of because you need an antagonist in any movie, right? And so you need that BZ type character, but you can change him enough to make him palatable.
Yeah. What if BZ stood for Beelzebub?
Ooh. Wait, we did that last year.
Yeah, we did do that last year. Wait, we're just going back to the 1959 one.
That was a great movie. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, anybody who's liking our Christmas special, go back and listen to our last Christmas specials.
But yeah, I think BZ is a crucial character, but I agree that the way it's played in this movie, or in the original movie, isn't working. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit.
Well, if we're going to bring him up as an antagonist, we need to see his growth as a character as well, where he loses faith in the idea of Christmas and is so focused on his own financial gain and just complete lack of empathy for anybody else. Yeah. I mean, he's got a willingness to kill children at the end of this movie to make a few bucks.
Yes. And I had a different thought, but it still kind of feeds into yours, is what, and because when I first saw Joe on the screen, I'm thinking, there's his assistant, there's his protege, right? So what if BZ was his first attempt at a protege and failed miserably?
Oh.
Right? Because BZ's just a bad kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he grows into this competitor for Christmas.
It could be this whole thing, too, where BZ, the reason Santa chose him, because he thought, like, this kid's on a bad path, maybe if I help him, but
because you can kind of see it in the Joe character, too, right?
Yeah, and that could be something that haunts Santa Claus. We're taking some adult ideas here, but I don't think these are things kids wouldn't understand as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And as a bit of a failure in Santa Claus's eyes, and that doesn't sit well with him.
No, and then that could tie into the Joe character as well, because
I think part of the importance of Santa Claus is redemption for even the bad children.
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be some sort of redemption for BZ at the end of this film.
Instead of him flying away,
a lesson of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of him going into orbit.
Yeah.
into space where he's still fine somehow.
And as a victim of his own. Let's get into the flying candy stuff. We haven't talked about as much about this movie and stuff too.
I'm throwing that out.
Yeah, well, Patch is originally chosen to be Santa's assistant in the factory, which I don't know how this changes anything. Honestly, like they're talking about lighting up Santa's workload a little bit by having an assistant, but he just walks around watching them build toys. So I'm not sure what his workload is.
I thought that was like the other elf, the head elf with the white beard. I thought
Dooley,
he was already his assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the head elf.
Yeah, right? I just assumed that was Dooley's purpose.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Because they're having a meeting at some point where he's like going, "Oh, we should get the pine suppliers to bring it earlier this year so we can get more done." Like I thought he was definitely the assistant.
Yeah,
it was an unnecessary plot device.
Yeah,
right?
And it doesn't make a lot of sense other than the fact that it gives Patch an opportunity to show some of his more industrialization, modernization techniques into building toys faster and not necessarily more efficiently, but with less people. So he's building machines to build toys, and he does it badly. Like the machine just doesn't make good quality toys.
The machine starts off good, but it just starts failing.
Yeah, and it proves Puffy right.
Yeah.
Right? Because Puffy says, well, we're going to sacrifice quality if we move to Patch's ideas, which was proven true. But again, I don't necessarily mind that aspect of the story, but I don't think that it would have been to get him to be an assistant, right?
No.
I saw Joe and earlier a BZ as that protege assistant type of role. Right?
Yeah,
right?
And maybe this kind of unfortunately eliminates Patch in our eyes as far as his function within the elven community, because what's left for Patch, right? If we do that,
I still think his inventiveness and industrialization could play a part in the story, but handled better and differently.
Well, I guess he could still move to BZ as BZ parts ways with Santa Claus.
Yeah, and maybe that's where
it's picking allegiances, and he's still unsure. Like he believes in Santa's mission, but maybe not exactly how to do that, and still becomes that miracle toy maker for BZ.
Yeah.
Or perhaps like well into the past when BZ was chosen to be the protege, there was something that happened, like some sort of misunderstanding that Patch had sort of been at fault for, that caused the falling out between like Santa and BZ and Santa lost faith in each other, and like he's the catalyst for that.
Yeah. Well, that gives something...
And he feels bad about that.
Yeah, and that gives something more for Patch to redeem himself. Like when Patch's Toys fails, that's why he goes out in the world to prove himself to Santa Claus in unwittingly undoing the magic of Christmas by doing so, because he takes some of that magic powder with him to build these toys, which aren't really toys, they're candy that make kids float.
Yeah, which was truly disturbing. And
well, especially after we see that they put it in the reindeer food and it makes the reindeer high.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Literally high.
Yeah,
Yeah, they literally get a buzz.
And
off
when the
of it.
nanny they're having,
Yeah, but they
she's
go into
actually-
the air, so literally high.
she acts high too, right?
Yeah.
She's having a real good time. A little bit of MDMA there happening. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Next thing you know, they're dealing on street corners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some magic dust, man. Uncut. What is this cut with?
Yeah, I like where you're going with that because then, and he could also be seeking out BZ to try and repair that relationship between BZ and Santa as well.
Yeah.
To sort of bring it all together
Yeah.
so that everybody's one big happy family again. Right. So his motivations
Yeah.
are very pure.
Yeah,
Or like that-
I don't think there's anything unpure about the elves. Like
Yeah.
Ooh.
it's just sometimes misguided, but their intentions are always pure.
Or the industrialization thing happens, but it's like remember, okay, the dentist from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's not so much it's the catalyst for a lot of stuff, but he just doesn't fit in. So he goes out to find BZ, but the industrialization thing was like the straw that broke the camel's back. He's like, frick, I can't fix anything. I might as well just go try and fix maybe this thing because I screwed up again.
And I don't want the magic dust in this one. I think it's inherent within the elves themselves. Like
Yeah.
there's a certain magic within their construction techniques. And I think that should be part of it. Maybe there's something to do with the reindeer feed. Who cares? That's less important. Although I don't know. I didn't mind the big animatronic reindeer in this.
I was really impressed by them.
I was actually too.
They were very expressive.
Going into this, I was reading something about creepy robotic reindeer, and I'm like, they weren't creepy at all.
Yeah, I got
They
a
were
little
really
confused.
decent puppets, actually.
Yeah.
Like they look cuddly, and you kind of wanted to cuddle them. They looked.
And at times they were using actual reindeer, which probably the training them just to do that was quite something.
Yeah, and they looked reasonably realistic, especially given when the movie was made.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I thought they did pretty good with the reindeer in establishing them as characters, especially
the
Donner.
personalities, yeah.
Donner
Yeah.
being a little bit of a coward.
Yeah.
I know.
Nervous about flying.
Yeah,
and
just nervous in general. Yeah.
just a nervous reindeer. Yeah.
Well, he's very upset about the whole change.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
understand the ones with monocles, though. Why do they have monocles?
I don't. Well, so you could tell them apart, I guess.
I
at the end of
guess,
the
but
day.
at the same time, do you want reindeers out there pulling your sleigh with depth perception problems?
See, but if you have those guys, maybe they need those monocles, and you don't need Rudolph because that's how they see during particularly stormy
They're on the right
nights.
side, so if you have one on this side and one on this side,
I guess it's all balanced.
it's all balanced.
Yeah, there we go. That's why the Rudolph isn't in this
They
movie.
couldn't see me going this side and this side. Sorry, guys. I keep
So
forgetting
yeah,
that
they
we're not
could
visual.
perceive through those. Like you just gave them that extra little bit during those especially stormy nights.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, I like them.
yeah. Now, Cornelia, who is the niece of BZ, like, they don't really explain the relationship there. Why is she with the uncle, and where are her parents, and why does Santa
Oh.
Claus get to keep any child he
They
finds?
they do at one point because I think the other kids are teasing her and she's defending Santa and they're like, you have no parents. Her parents are dead. That's why she's
Okay.
staying with her uncle.
Yeah, she doesn't need to be in there.
No, I don't.
No,
I
I
don't
got
think
her.
so either. She's just.
I took both the children out actually, if I'm honest.
Well, I think children are important, but I think we've solved that by having a couple of different children within this. Our remake, BZ as a child for one,
Yeah.
and growing up into be a bitter old dude, and then a new child with a little more faith in Santa Claus who is actually won over
Yeah.
by Santa's techniques.
BZ's your Scrooge figure.
yeah, and because he's homeless as well,
Yeah.
Joe. So.
Yeah, I really liked Joe actually.
And Joe's the one who should redeem BZ somewhat.
You're reading my mind again.
Yeah.
Right.
See, we have faith in Christmas still.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I took out the children. Maybe I'm the dark one.
Maybe, yeah.
I have been bringing out all the dark stuff.
Santa's still got to be about children.
Yes.
I mean, it's just it's inherent in the character's nature, so they have to be there.
Yeah.
They do, yeah. They really do. It's not much of a Christmas movie.
Now, you're not going to hear me
Some children.
cast any because anybody who's a regular listener to our
Yeah.
show knows we're terrible at casting children, so I left them off my
To be
list.
fair, that's part of the reason I didn't have the children because I'm like, I can't try casting children
Because
again. I suck
probably
at
by
it.
the time you get to a remake, anybody I cast is now turned into a shitty teenager. So
Yes. Yeah, no, you leave that to casting directors to cast children because
Yeah,
usually
they age
casting
so
an
fast.
unknown anyhow, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and it's plus I don't want the cops coming to my house because I'm looking up child actors
Fair.
and I'm doing it for this podcast.
I should have
for
been
no
maybe
other
looking
reason.
up casting directors who can actually cast children who can act, because that was
Yeah.
definitely a problem in this movie.
Yes. Joe wasn't that bad, but Cornelia, wow. bad.
She was pretty bad, yeah.
Like some of the other extras' children were better than the main children.
Yeah. Ooh, what if BZ had child labor? That's where Joe initially starts.
There we go.
Does that plays Trish's darkness?
Yeah.
It does, and that gives you a chance to tie in Patch as well, because Patch gives him the opportunity to get rid of all of his labor, right?
Yes.
Ooh, but Patch too also gives him the opportunity to tie in all the labor. But Patch is an elf.
Yeah.
Patch looks like a child.
Yeah.
Patch starts out in the factory where all the other children are and goes to free them.
Then maybe
we're moving to a whole different movie.
That's again a little dark, and that sounds like Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Temple of Doom is great. I don't care what anybody says.
Me too.
Hey, it's Indiana Jones. It's better than the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
But that also gives Joe some bitterness, because when he meets Santa Claus in this one, he's a little dismissive about it. He keeps saying he doesn't believe in Santa Claus. He's just this weird dude, and he's already seen some street Santa steal from charity and drink in public and just generally be shitty.
Yeah, which I loved. I loved that bit, actually.
And
Me too.
that just makes him lose more and more faith in the idea of Christmas and being used for child labor, and then losing his job to this Christmas elf, because he's always in that right place where he learns things. So maybe he's learning, like, well, what now I can't even support myself because Santa's elf has replaced us all.
But maybe with him too, like Patch tells him the story of BZ and how this sort of came to be, and sort of Joe has to get past his resentment, because like then he can also blame Santa for
every
that
character,
situation.
especially in a Christmas movie, needs to grow into a better person, and this gives a chance for everybody to.
Yeah, and
including Santa Claus.
That's the joy.
He's got to redeem
movies.
some of his. And this is, it's a different device than they use in this one, where he loses his faith. This all starts with BZ.
Yeah, and he's lost his faith there because he thought he'd found this wonderful protege assistant who would grow to help him, and
he just grew into a bitter, greedy man.
Yeah. And so he gets to redeem himself with BZ, redeem himself with Patch, because Patch has lost faith in himself. Right? So yeah, there's a lot of feel good at the end of it if you do it right.
Yeah.
Which it should always be what a Santa Claus Christmas movie is. There should be a lot of feel good in the Christmas movie.
That happy crying at the end.
That's why the Tim Allen Santa Claus with an E movies are so wonderful, is because they really you do feel good at the end of those movies.
Yes.
And he grows.
And he does. The character grows. Yeah. And usually the characters around him grow as well.
Yeah. And the happy ending in this one felt arbitrary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't feel any different. I didn't feel anything watching this movie other than bitter and resentment.
I just felt anger at having to take this long detour when I was really tied up in Santa and Anya.
Yeah. I really liked, that was one thing I really enjoyed, was their relationship, and wanted to see more of it.
Yeah, I agree. There was seeing how Anya, or Mrs. Claus, kind of helps Santa grow into the legend that he is.
Yeah, right? I think her she's an important character and doesn't get enough time on screen, because it's her voice also helps Santa Claus in some of those darker times.
Yeah, I mean, she's the one who recommends the assistant. She's the one who recommends the red the red outfits, right? Like all of this stuff. Like, she's key to the list. Like, so she's critical in the few scenes she has, but she's way underutilized.
Yeah, I think we need to see more of her.
And she's like Santa's rock through all of this. Like, I mean, they allude to the fact that they could never have children, but they have a very, very strong marriage.
Yeah.
They truly, truly love each other. They're basically the only two people who could be stuck for millennia together and still be okay.
Yeah, I mean, they died holding hands, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We need to see that sweetness, and she should be in our remake as well. The strongest character of the lot, and she kind of is in this one. We don't see enough of that. We need that one character who is the voice of reason through everything.
Yeah, I mean, she's the one who tells them, go try again, find another kid who needs your guidance, and prove to yourself that it wasn't you that failed BZ, right? That BZ failed himself, right? like that kind of actually dialogue almost would work perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And they're like, we did. You look at all you've done through all these years. Like, why are you losing faith now? We've done
Over
so
one
much
failure.
good.
Yeah, over one misstep, right? So yeah, no, I think that could work really well. She's definitely the voice of reason. She's the Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I got to bring this one thing up. Did you guys sit through the credits of the film with the pictures while the credits were rolling?
I wasn't watching all that closely. I was kind of doing research at the same
and
time.
you told me.
There was something in there that really bothers me. Okay, they're kind of constructing toys while the credits are rolling, windmill toys or whatever. And at one point we get into these wooden dolls, and the first doll up, and they're tying ribbons around these dolls' necks, right?
Yeah.
The first one up is a black doll, and they wrap this white ribbon around its face, which I'm like, wait, what? I hope that was
going
just
on?
sloppiness in the edit. And the next two were white and with smaller heads, and the ribbons were wrapped properly around their necks. And I'm like, how the fuck did that get through the edit?
I
Like,
know,
I was
right?
really mad. I'm like, you motherfucker, racist bastards.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, no,
I
didn't
was
see that. I'm gonna
so
go back and watch that now.
ticked. I'm like,
Yeah.
you barely made a decent kids movie, and then you throw that at me. I'm like, what did you just do? And what was the message you were trying to send me?
They are
I'm not-
secretly all BZs.
I am
they are.
not going to try to read too much into this, but it really angered me.
And it should. That's
so
just bullshit.
that's gone entirely. I'm really angry about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hugely inappropriate.
Yeah, very inappropriate, especially with what you were trying to do, and then you do something like that. I'm like, guys, it takes 2 seconds to recut that. Like, just reshoot that scene, that little shot of, and tie the thing properly,
Or just take it out entirely.
or just take it out entirely. But hey, you made a black doll, great, and then you tie a white ribbon around its face.
What?
I'm like, no, you just reshoot that little bit, and then you don't get a pissed off Jay.
Yeah. Well, and see the point when you talk about that, how little it takes to make that correct tells me they were trying to do that.
Yeah, I almost feel like they were trying to send some weird message there that was, to say it lightly, hugely inappropriate.
Maybe this is where the U.S. started going downhill.
Well, maybe this is why this is.
This is why 2016 happened.
Well, no, I'm thinking maybe this is just why this all kinds eventually failed and lost all that money. It's because they're just dicks.
Yeah.
This was their lump of fucking coal.
Yeah, sometimes justice kicks you in the ass eventually. So.
Yep. Santa Karma.
Yeah,
Santa Karma.
I don't know. Yeah, karma catches up with you. I do believe that. And
We can only hope.
well, after just seeing that one little bit, it's nothing on the screen, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm glad this movie fucking failed.
And failed hard.
Yeah.
Feel hard. Yeah, and I mean, there's actually 4 stories in this movie now that I think about it. Because you've got Santa's story, Joe's story, Patch's story, and BZ's story. They're all and they try so hard to tie it all together. It takes forever to get there.
Yep.
And it doesn't work.
No.
Right? But I think we've done a good job of sort of tying it all together while still keeping that origin of Santa story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now that we think about, we said that out loud with the candy, with the Santa dust, and making kids float literally high and giving them a buzz, and the first taste is free.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, you guys were literally doing some gangster street story and just wrapped it in Santa Claus around it.
Yeah.
That's gross.
This is Santa Claus the Wire story.
Yep. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, no,
I might have liked it better if Idris Elba had shown up, but The Wire's so good.
Idris Santa Claus. How
See?
great would that be?
That'd be all right. I'd be totally okay with that.
I will happily volunteer to play Mrs. Claus.
Yeah, I could just see this trail of women behind Santa Claus. Santa Claus has got it going on.
I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus. Yeah, you did.
And some
and
other
if you
stuff
keep looking,
too.
you might see more.
Mommy was looking for her contacts.
Oh, no. I love that. That's good. See, I told you should make more inappropriate jokes.
That's not that's not going in the remake.
No.
But Idris can.
This is our Rule 43 movie.
Well, I think we got a good structure. We can build on this as we go along, but I am totally ready to get into some casting on this thing, I think. And unless there's something else you want to talk about the movie before
No,
we
you know
move
what? The
on.
movie doesn't bear that much talking about.
No.
No, I think we hit the major points.
Yeah,
so.
we've hit the major points. We found the general structure works, and with a little bit of work from us.
We found the heart of the movie. That, I think, was the main thing missing from this
Yeah,
whole thing. It
it was
didn't have
heart.
any heart at all.
No, there's no heart in this movie, and the consumerism is rampant, and
Which is okay.
But it also undermines its own message by doing so. When
Yeah.
you're the theme of the movie is undoing the magic of Christmas, and then you get a very gratuitous McDonald's ad within the film.
A whole scene of a kid sitting outside the McDonald's watching other people eat.
And the
Yeah.
scene where she puts up the Coke can and she makes, you can actually see her
See her
turn to make sure
turn
you
it.
can see the Coke logo. I'm like, that, oh yeah, Coke's so paid for that.
Yeah,
That drove
so,
me nuts. And the kid holding it awkwardly so that he can drink it while the Coke logo is out.
You're again undermining your own message.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
sorry.
that's the 80s though.
That's totally the.
Well,
80s.
how were they going to get that $50 million other than that to have Coke and all these other
Yeah,
companies?
well,
pay
I
for
think
it?
we structured it in a way where I don't have to get rid of BZ now. So I did
No.
cast him, but
Me too.
I initially didn't even want that story in there. But now we've worked this so much better with where we see BZ as a child and work him back up into the toy manufacturer who's taken some of Santa's workforce, replaced his own, and I'm still not sure how we're going to redeem him yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it will be through Joe, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Joe and Patch together, I think,
Yeah.
are sort of, because they're the two sort of linchpins to the whole story, really, right?
Yeah.
And they need to be.
Yeah,
Right.
And maybe we should see. He should realize how much he has fallen and what that does, maybe to other children. And I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to be the dangers of the toys so much as trying to find that cool thing that isn't
Yeah.
actually that cool, that might be harmful in the end. And maybe he needs to see something happen there. Maybe where we could have that brief moments of reintroduce Cornelia for just a moment and as his own niece who gets hurt by one of his own toys.
Maybe. Right. And maybe establish that maybe she's the only person he really does care about, even though he's not really present.
And a little
Yeah.
bit of his test audience as well. He keeps giving her these toys, and maybe something happens bad because of what he's
Yeah.
done. And then it's through the voice of Patch and Joe.
And it could also be like the industrialization bit where, because of what he's done with some of these toys, they're just not well made. And because he's cutting corners. But that could also be that whole Patch
Instead
thing.
of having the volatile, explosive candy canes that can possibly kill them, and he's fine with it.
But and that might be the whole thing. Like I talked about a misunderstanding that like Patch sort of caused the rift between him and Santa. And so he went full industrial, and that's how he got away from Santa.
Yeah.
And then Patch kind of comes there because he kind of wants to investigate this whole industrialist thing and realizing himself that maybe there's something like the individual touch of all these elves. Maybe just that little bit of magic makes that toy special.
Yeah. I think we still need to humanize BZ more than he is because, this guy's still a toy manufacturer. He's not going to kill children
No.
for the sake of a buck. He's just not. Like, that really made everything ugly where he knows these things are explosive and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be a psychopath.
No, because you don't want
No.
you don't want to kill off your market.
No.
No.
Bottom line, even if he doesn't care about children, he doesn't want to kill off his market.
No.
Right? And he certainly does not want to maim them either, because again, that still kills your market because they're not going to buy another one of your toys.
Yeah.
Right?
I still don't know how Patch and Joe survived the explosion in the car.
And you could also have the whole thing too, where he actually is a very successful toy manufacturer because the other reason that he was brought in under Santa is he has a talent for coming up with like great toys. But again, some
Even
of these might
as
be
a child,
bad.
yeah.
Even as a child, had a great idea for great toys. So he's super successful because he comes up with like the greatest things. But again, he might be losing his way, and he's like, "Oh, I think this would be a cool toy," and it's because of the manufacturing process. It's dangerous.
Well, see, and this is where you tie in Patch a lot more strongly to BZ and to the whole story. Is BZ actually connects really closely with Patch because Patch is imaginative like him, right? And Patch has the idea for the industrialized mass production line, and BZ really gloms onto that, and that's where the rift between Santa and BZ also starts, right? Is I want to start mass production, and Santa's like, no, we're going to do it the way we've always done it. We're traditional. I'm Santa Claus. This is the way I do things.
Yes.
Right? And then that's where BZ goes, well, no, you're not moving ahead with the times, and bails. Right?
Yeah.
But while also feeling cast aside by Santa.
At the same time, right? And then Patch is stuck in the middle of that.
Yeah. Now, see, that humanizes him and makes him a lot less mustache, twirly villain. Yeah.
Yes.
And very sympathetic at the same time. And
Sort of sad.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I totally dig that.
Yeah. So and he's a toy genius.
We now have a movie that makes me feel things.
I know. I'm getting very excited now.
And then it also ties in Patch's search for his own redemption because he needs to go to BZ and try and make things right with Santa.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right. But at the same time, he's curious to see what BZ's done with his ideas too. Right. So he's got conflicting emotions. It's like, I need to fix this, but I want to see what BZ did because these were my ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Or these are based on my ideas. So there's a whole bunch happening there with Patch that makes him a lot more interesting too.
Yeah, I feel like there's a patent office that are going to be showing up soon.
Yeah.
And lawsuits.
Exactly. Woo-hoo.
No, I totally dig where this is going. Okay, now I'm excited to hear some casting options and some directors here.
Okay, I always go first. Why don't you go first?
Okay.
Chris?
Okay.
I went a different way because I was thinking about this. I had like kind of a main cast, and I'm like, you know what? No, Santa Claus lives in the North Pole. It's freaking Canadian, so I went with the Canadian cast.
Okay.
And I went young for a lot of them because I kind of want a younger Santa. I want him to have died tragically. But for Patch, the first person I cast, Tatiana Maslany.
Nice.
I want her to be Patch.
Very nice. She could play all the elves.
She could, but I still want a lot of Canadian faces
We're
in the
going to do a
elves.
Deep Roy in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
That's what you fed me because I don't know if you've seen
Orphan Black.
But she plays like 8 different characters,
amazing.
and she's so good. She's the only reason I watch the show. I don't really like the show, but I just love her.
She's phenomenal. That's why I thought, like, oh, she'd be a great Patch. So Canadian, too. Love it.
That's awesome.
All right. And for Santa, I put Joshua Jackson.
Oh, nice.
He looks great in a beard. I feel he could be Santa-like.
Oh, yeah, that's those big blue
He's got
eyes.
and he's got the big
the
cheeks.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that.
I can see that.
Anya, Alicia Cuthbert. She's funny and hilarious.
And fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. I don't want to lust after Mrs. Claus.
I think you can. I think it
do
would
now.
be great. But she's
for that.
she's hilarious and funny, and I think that match would be good. I didn't do Joan Cornelia because I'm really bad at casting children. So I had for BZ, I had Kevin Durand. I don't know if you know who he is.
I know the name. I'm trying to place
Sorry,
his
Stark
face
was the
familiar.
knight. He was in, he's in so many movies. He was in one of the Resident Evil ones. Very tall, very kind of, he could be a bad guy.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
I'm gonna
Dark
trust
was
you
the
on
Night
this
was a
one.
horror movie, so.
Okay.
Got that.
I'd have to remember which Resident Evil movies. They just got progressively worse. So
Yeah, and then there is, for his little kind of hoity-toity guy, I still want him to have an assistant, that Towser guy. So I put Martin Short there.
that's very Canadian.
Yes. And then I still kept like the big important elf who said
ancient elf,
the
yeah.
ancient elf. That's Graham Greene.
Oh, I like that.
I like that.
And for the head elf, I put Sandra Oh
Excellent.
because I love her.
That's
I'll
great.
watch her in anything.
That's definitely at a different direction in casting. I like most of it, actually.
It's different, but I don't dislike the casting at all.
Yeah, and for a director, I put Michael Dougherty, who was the guy who did Krampus, I believe,
Oh, Michael Dougherty. Yeah.
because he's good with I love the visuals of that movie.
Yeah. No, I totally dig that choice as well. I'll let Sam go last this time.
Okay, how about that?
Okay. So for me, I went with director Brad Bird. You know, I think he's got...
That's so good.
Yeah, for a guy who's done live action and digital animation with Pixar and stuff.
He's got
I
a
think
great visual sense.
He's got a good visual sense, and he certainly knows how to tell an emotional child story.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Up.
Yeah. So, with my casting, I went more of a UK feel for this. When I start thinking period piece and all that, it just gets classier with British people. I don't know.
Hey, Canadians are classy.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, we're fucking classy.
Now give me that beer.
Show you fucking classy.
Pabst Blue Ribbon. It should be Labatt's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Molson.
Molson.
I am Canadian, yeah.
That's right. I am Canadian. So for my Santa Claus, I went with Robbie Coltrane.
Oh,
Aw.
same as me.
Nice.
Oh, nice. For Mrs. Claus, I went with Imelda Staunton.
I love her.
Yes. I guess I was a little Harry Potter in those first two.
I know.
Right? For my patch, I went with Robert Sheehan from Misfits.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. For the Ancient Elf, I went with Ian McDermott. He needs to make up for his Emperor Palpatine. I think there's some goodness left in him.
Yeah. Take him out of the dark side.
Yeah, he could do that authoritative elf thing.
Have him leave at some point, just like he's like, I gotta go see some Jedi.
And for my BZ, who almost didn't cast because I wanted to drop him out of the movie, but I'm glad I cast him, mainly based on the completely batshit crazy performance, that over-the-top performance that John Lithgow did. Oh, I can see the anticipation on Trish's face. Nicolas Cage.
What, were you reading my mind? Were we watching this at the same time last night?
Maybe.
Because I did also cast Nicolas Cage.
When you said crazy, I was like, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Although part of me wants to do like Gary Oldman.
Me too.
I was also thinking Gary Oldman. Everything!
He would be so good.
Yeah, it's funny because those were the two I was tossing up for BZ. They're two of my favorite overactors.
So good.
Actually, Gary Oldman only overacts it periodically, but
when he
in all
does
the best
it,
ways, and
yes.
the best points.
he makes great choices when he does.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's an article I read about his best overacting moments, and they always bring up The Professional.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's just absolute genius when he just goes over the top.
I love True
I love
Romance.
that movie.
Oh yeah. I just
was so
love
good.
Gary Oldman. I've never watched a movie where I did not enjoy him.
I'm not a big fan of True Romance. I'll admit that, but I like Gary Oldman every time I see him.
But and like if you're looking for like the redemption where you really really like him, Sirius Black and Harry Potter.
Yes. Yes.
Do you remember the first movie you ever saw Gary Oldman in?
Oh, I'm trying to remember the title of it. I think we watched that one together.
We watched it together, yeah. Tim Roth and Gary Oldman.
Yeah, I can see I can even see the scenes of the movie, but I don't remember the name of
The
it.
coins, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
That's it.
I've seen that movie. I totally forgot Gary Oldman was in it.
Yeah, and Tim Roth. Two of the best imports from
Oh wow.
Britain in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
We could do a sequel to our movie where there's like two elves doing a whole Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead on the side of this movie.
I could have handled
That would be great.
I wanted like 5 sequels of that movie. I love that movie so much.
Oh yeah, I just absolutely love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my cast. I was pretty happy with that one.
Love it.
Yeah,
it's
I love your
another
cast.
good
Half
cast.
of it's the same as mine. Now.
Yeah, and I knew you'd like it. I didn't, like I said, I didn't cast the children. We talked about how terrible we are with doing that anyway.
And how dangerous it is to have in our search history.
Yeah, well, there you go. So there's great children actors out there, but, it takes a year sometimes for production, so some children don't get to stay children very long in movies. So I'll let some brilliant casting director worry about that one.
Oh, for sure.
So there you go. That's my cast.
Thanks.
There we go. And I'm with Jay on letting the casting directors cast the children because really, child actors, with this type of movie, you're going to have a newcomer or somebody who's only had 1 or 2 roles, comes from a commercial, and we're not going to know who they are.
No.
Right? But as we already know, my Santa was also Robbie Coltrane.
Yep.
Because I was thinking about it. I'm like, who looks like Santa Claus? I'm like, Robbie Coltrane. That big cheeks and the belly, and they just
Well, and having done this is our second Santa Claus movie, and already I think last year I actually had 2 choices for my Santa Claus, so I'm like, well, I don't want to use either one of those choices, so I'm like, well, got to think something else, and Robbie Coltrane came to mind right away.
Yeah, for me as well. And I was actually thinking about casting Brian Dennehy, who was originally the first choice for him, but Brian Dennehy's no longer acting, and he's getting pretty old.
Yeah.
So Robbie Coltrane it was. For my BZ, we already know Nicolas Cage.
Yep.
Wow.
How about that?
We spent a lot of time together. I can see
Yes.
we get in the same brain frame.
Yeah.
This is where we need Jeff to argue with us, but he always hated casting.
Yeah, he did.
For my patch, I really like Steve Carell. I think he would have brought
That's a great choice.
that great Dudley Moore character to,
That's
but
good.
better.
Yeah, I totally agree with that choice.
For my ancient one, and I'm surprised nobody did this, John Lithgow.
I originally had him as my BZ, but I went straight for Canadian. That's the only reason he's not in my movie.
I thought he'd be too creepy as an elf, honestly.
Well, but he's capable of pulling off the straight role. He
totally is. Absolutely.
I had him as Santa Claus at one point because I liked Third Rock from the Sun. He's funny and he's warm.
It's
and
not
he's
like
great.
the thought didn't cross my mind. It's just I hated him in this movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's why I wanted
like
to
him
cast
so
him in this,
much.
because redemption, right? We're
Well,
talking
he's the
about
only
redemption.
one I
This-
wanted
I
back.
suppose.
Yeah.
I just couldn't find a place for him.
Yeah, and she's a little old, but for Anya Claus, I want Dame Judi Dench, because if you want somebody who can transmit warmth,
Yeah.
she's your woman. Right?
Yeah.
My other choice was somebody that I use a lot, so I didn't go with her. But Kathy Bates would have been a great Anya as well.
Yeah, I was trying to keep my Santa Claus and Anya close in age.
Oh,
Yeah,
me too.
right?
That's
So,
why I did
I mean,
mine.
and Judi Dench and Robbie Coltrane are close in age, but she just looks a little.
Well,
older.
Robbie Coltrane's 67, and then my Anya was 60. So
Yeah, and for our remake, this very strong center of Mrs. Claus, Dame Judi Dench.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I was thinking of her as a stronger,
Yeah.
more important character.
yeah. Sadly, she's starting to pull away from acting now.
Yeah. So we got to get her soon.
Yep.
This has to happen now.
Yeah, it has to happen now. For Dooley, which is the head elf, because I wanted to cast him because he does play a bit of a fairly critical role in the movie, and he
Yes.
can still, especially in the in the interactions between BZ and Santa.
Mike?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Yes.
We have a friend named Mike Dooley.
yeah.
So.
Oh, nice.
Shout out, Mike Dooley. Hey.
Yeah, if you actually listen to us, Mike, we're still thinking about you. I'm with Tom Wilkinson because I love Tom Wilkinson.
Oh, excellent choice.
yeah.
Yeah, I like
and
that.
he'd be great as a sort of the authoritative but slightly funny elf.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Puffy, the sort of more traditional one, or elf, I went with Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, nice.
I like that.
Because I can play the more serious, and he's starting to look kind of like that venerable old man kind of look to him.
Right.
And now for my director, I almost went John Carpenter because give him a second chance at it.
Oh, I think I could change my tune. I want John Carpenter.
But
I just want to see what he would do.
Ever
but-
since I found out about this, John Carpenter sounds great.
yes, but instead I went with Paul Feig because I love what he did with Spy.
That was so good.
Yeah,
I love
so
that movie.
I have a lot of faith in him to bring that sense of humor. I mean, it's a little coarse for. At least the Spy, some of it's pretty coarse, but
Yeah.
he still has that sense of whimsy.
But Ghostbusters.
Oh,
is
then
great.
he's going to have to put Melissa McCarthy in there, and I disagree with that statement.
He doesn't have to.
doesn't have
They're not
Melissa
tied
McCarthy
forever.
is an Anya.
She would be good.
She would be
does
good.
She
transmit
would.
warmth very well.
Yeah.
And she does growth throughout a film very well as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
she does.
But yeah, I still like my Dame Judi Dench's.
Oh yeah, I totally like that
yeah.
choice.
So yeah, that was my casting.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I do like Paul Feig. I like both your directors really well.
Well, I
'Cause
think,
the only
yeah.
Canadian ones I could think of was like, who did I had Cronenberg, and I'm like, no, can't.
It'd be body horror.
That's the only one I could think of, and I'm like, oh no.
You know, Cronenberg's Santa Claus
He's
would be
Canadian, but no.
he'd be coming down the chimney. He'd be pulling toys out of his stomach to give to children that would attach to them symbiotically.
Or how he comes down the chimney as he detaches everything from himself and then slips down and then reattaches everything when he gets down there.
Yeah, or just turns into this amorphous slime.
Yeah. And he doesn't leave them coal. He leaves them something like some sort of insect
Yeah.
yes, this
that
pulsing,
bores into their head.
all this pulsing larvae.
Yeah. Yeah, he likes like pulsing stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, goop and pulsing, and yeah. That's another movie. We could
Yeah.
do that movie. David Cronenberg's Santa Claus.
The movie.
That's what we could do for another. What do we want to remake?
Oh, you know what?
Try
If you
create.
wanted a Canadian director, I would totally go with Brent Butt.
Oh yeah.
Has he directed before?
He's directed a
Yeah,
ton of
Corner
episodes
Gas.
of Corner Gas,
Right.
and the Corner Gas movie, which unfortunately wasn't as strong as the TV series, but was still pretty good.
It wasn't, but I liked it. I really did it. It felt like it did what it wanted to do. It felt like a longer episode of the TV show, and that's exactly what people wanted.
And if you want somebody who can capture that sense of whimsy,
oh yeah.
man, I'm going to change my director to
The
Brent
Corner
Butt.
Gas Christmas. Yeah, there we go. The Corner Gas Christmas episode.
Yeah.
Where
I
they
don't
do
know.
the Sears catalog thing that we all did.
I don't know. I think I need to have two productions going at the same time. The one that's doing our remake and the one that's doing David Cronenberg's.
Yes.
Totally.
'Cause
I'm kind of liking that now. Eh?
I'm so digging that.
I'm in love with that idea now.
I don't know where we're going with it, but it's a dark and disturbing place.
That's
and
an
I
episode we
like
should
it.
do. Okay, another episode. We got to do that one. And that we're going from scratch.
It's like the naked lunch of Santa Claus movies.
It really would be, and that's kind of where we're grabbing a lot of our ideas.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm liking it. I'm going off into a really weird headspace now.
Yes, we're both imagining what this is going to look like, and it's going to be really gooey.
I'm seeing Santa in like red leather that so you can wash off the blood and kind of.
What happens to the naughty
apron.
children?
Yeah.
Oh God, poor naughty children.
A red apron, but it didn't start out that way.
Yeah.
Santa Claus has lost it. He's sick of all the terrible people in humanity, and he's vowed to it's kind of like a Santa sleigh type of thing, but not quite. Like just even
not
darker
Bill
than
Goldberg.
that. So dark.
And there's your happy feeling for the day.
Yeah.
Because it made us happy.
Yeah, it did.
October ruined us, didn't it?
2016 ruined us.
Yeah. We're all in a very dark place at the end of this calendar year.
Yeah.
When I was thinking at one point, because of the evil industrialist in this movie, I certainly was thinking, should I make him Alec Baldwin via his Saturday Night Live character and just paint him orange?
You know what? I'm so good at Christmas. Like, I'm so bigly at Christmas. I'm so amazing at Christmas. Nobody Christmases harder than I do. We're going to make Christmas great again.
You know what, Jay? You need to soundbite that and just post that a few times before this episode comes out. Just pull that out, please, and just do a little audio clip.
There you go.
You know what?
Teaser.
Christmas. We can make this Christmas good again. I do Christmas better than anyone. Toys, people, happiness. That's me. It's always me.
Okay, so how would you ruin Christmas? Please tell us and leave a comment on our Facebook, our Twitter, or anywhere, YouTube, wherever you find us. But tell us. You can do that on Twitter at Invasion Remake, Invasion the Remake on Facebook, and Invasion of the Remake at gmail.com. Tell us what horrible people we are for fucking up your childhood.
We didn't fuck up their childhood. We just put a spin on it.
But if you want to give us a wonderful gift, you can do that by leaving us 5 stars or and a review on iTunes. It helps us out tremendously. You don't even know. But if you do, it helps us out. It raises us in the ranks and helps people get more
earballs
on the show.
Also, something about that.
Yeah.
We get that. It's a thing now.
Oh my God, my earballs, they're so big. They're so big. Nobody has earballs like I have earballs. So good. My earballs are bigly. That's what my earballs are. You know who doesn't have big earballs? Nasty women. Nasty women don't have earballs. I'm so sorry. I need to work on it. Like, I can't do like the mouth thing that he does.
Can't see that anyhow, so you're all
I know,
good.
but that's sort of what makes the sound so very Trump. Yeah,
it's fine. They get it.
They get it.
We have smart invaders out there.
Yes.
And notice me and Sam aren't attempting it. So
Because we're smart invaders.
Yeah, you're smart invaders. We're gonna hear things.
Tell your friends about the show. I mean, if you like a good Trump impression, you probably listen to some other show. But
yeah. Oh, for sure.
If you dig us and our sense of humor and us destroying Christmas, please tell everybody else how we can destroy their Christmas by recommending the show. You already know how to find us. Tell them how to find us. iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, Google Play Music, Audio Boom, Libsyn, and a bazillion other places, including YouTube, but not the best place. And of course, Blueberry. Of course, Blueberry as well. We're out there in the world, all over the place.
We've invaded as much as we can. We can't do this alone.
I can't invade anymore. I'm exhausted.
We need invader help.
I need invader help.
We need associate invaders. An invader army. You can't invade without an army. Please be our army.
Yes. Yeah, the invasion begins with you. So help us have an incredible remainder of 2016 and a great start to 2017, because we all need each other's help right now.
Oh, we do.
So let's put the black hole of 2016 behind us and look forward to a brand new year. So, yeah, this was Santa Claus. Next week, we're going to do some sort of Christmas thing, and then round out our December and get into January and get back to our normal
scheduled programming
and things we've been putting off because of our theme months.
Yes. Yeah, there have been a couple.
Yes, there are some things I'm excited to get to. So,
but we love our theme months.
Yes, we're going into man. I can't believe how many episodes we got up already, and looking at this incredible year we've had as a podcast. So, let's just get some more people out there listening to us and keep going. God knows Hollywood's going to keep us going for years and years and years and years and years.
And thank you, lovely listeners, for listening to us.
Yes, thank you. I don't know. It's better that you're here joining the conversation with us and listening to us, because we're going to do this with or without microphones anyway. So I'm glad you're enjoying the conversation.
Yes,
yes, very much so. And I've noticed that we're starting to see some more people interacting with us on social media. Please continue to do that.
Yes, that is us. It is us we are interacting with. We don't have anybody else doing the social media
we
stuff.
We can't afford that.
No, we don't.
We have no elves.
No, it's all out of pocket, no advertisers, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I want to bring out advertisers or not, but we might have to in the future at some point to kind of pay for some of the equipment upkeep and our hosting fees, or I might start a Patreon or something. I don't know yet. If you guys have ideas, I'm certainly open to hearing them.
And if you're how would they tell us?
That's right. And if you're an advertiser, you can get a hold of us. Again, it's invasionoftheremake@gmail.com, and I'll at least hear the pitch.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have our own webpage. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the kind of thing that eventually we're going to have to figure out if we need to go down.
Right? And I don't know. I don't want.
And my graphic design skills are very limited.
I don't want to have to pitch to Squarespace, but
you never know.
Because I get tired of hearing those ads myself. Anyway, well, now we're rambling, so we are out of here. We'll see you next week, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Ho ho ho.
In a distant land, Santa's elves are especially busy making you something special. A stuffed reindeer ornament just like the reindeer in the new motion picture Santa Claus the Movie.
Good likeness.
And it's free when you buy a $5 book of McDonald's gift certificates. So put plenty of both on your Christmas list. McDonald's gift certificates and free reindeer ornaments. Seems believing.